The great thing about Christian music, it bypasses the head, goes straight to the heart. As a family ministry with Rebecca, then with For King Country, there's moments.
Yeah.
Doing business,
sure.
business with your family can get interesting. One guy wrote in and said, after seeing the movie, I'm going to go home and love my family better. When I saw that, I said, hey, even if the movie doesn't work, it's been worthwhile. That's what we're called to be. We're called to be salt and light, you know. A couple of weeks later, he said, Smallbone, you jolly well tried to evangelize me. And our core principles are loving on the brokenhearted and sharing the most wonderful message known to man to as many people as possible. We're not looking for the business answer, we're looking for the Jesus answer. We had a commitment that if anyone lost money, we would give them money back. And
And that's not normal, by the way.
And I think sometimes because of budgets in Christian music world, we never reach our full potential.
It's music industry. There's probably been times when you've been having to go, there's going to be ministry and then there's music industry, and ministry always wins out, but sometimes it's been maybe a tough decision.
I'm a piece of work, you know, like and you know, you've been around Christian music, it's a little crazy on occasions, and this is a crazy one. So,
welcome to the Salty Christians YouTube channel. My name is Matt, and the mission of this YouTube channel is to inspire you and to inspire me to be salt and light. Jesus in Matthew 5, verse 13 to 15 says, we are the salt of the earth, light of the world. And the way I inspire people to be salty Christians is by sharing stories and testimonies of other Christians who are doing it, are being salt and light. And so today we are out in the rolling hills of beautiful Tennessee with my friend, David Smallbone.
Also, good to see you, Matt. It's been a while, but boy, oh boy. You know what? I've got 7 kids, and blow me down, the last time we worked together was 7 years ago.
That's right. I know. Yeah. Well, and in our text messages, you know, I call you Mr. Smallbone, and you're like, I'm the old bloke. The old bloke.
And you're the younger bloke.
I am the younger bloke.
Yeah. And you're an honorary Aussie because you're prepared to go deep and meaningful with a gentleman of increased vintage from down under.
Increased vintage. Well, tell me about, real quick, the beautiful property here. I'm just going to pan around, let people, it's almost fall here in Tennessee. The leaves are going to be changing. This is just quite a peaceful place that...
Like, you know, God works in mysterious ways. So we came over here 34 years ago, lived in poverty for the first couple of years because I came to work for a Christian artist. He let me go after 2 months. And it really was a huge moment. And then after we'd been here 5 years, we thought, well, it's time to try and buy a house. We had $10,000 in the bank. And so we went to our real estate agents who'd found us the rental over in Brentwood. And she found this little farm out here. And so we go there. All the people who'd been speaking to the farmer about buying it were going to bulldoze the house. And he had 6 kids. He didn't want that to happen. And we had no credit at the time. I had $10,000 in the bank. And it was Eddie DeGarmo and Bill Hearn at Capital. I went to them. Rebecca's career was going at the moment. I said, hey, can you advance us another $10,000? Give me the deposit to take it up to $20,000. And that allowed us to buy 9 acres out here. And I had 7 kids at the time, little farmhouse. And it's absolutely been beautiful. And the clincher on all that is the farmer took the note. I didn't have credit in America because I'd only been here. You don't know this because you're an American, but it takes you a long time to get credit.
Yeah.
And the farmer took the note for the first year. And the sad thing he passed away a number of years ago, and I didn't hear about it until after he'd been passed. And I really wanted to celebrate his life because he was a hero.
Yeah.
The way he loved on my family. And you know, you've been around Christian music, it's a little crazy on occasions. And being out here on the land, it's close to God. It's been a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Well, and part of the reason that I'm excited to talk with you is about 2 years ago, you were speaking at our mutual friends conference, Bill Scott.
Yep.
And I just remember you were doing devotionals, and you were sharing how when you go into record label meetings and industry music meetings, there's not always Christians in the room, but I just remember the story saying that you would open it in prayer, you know?
Well, it's slightly different. Okay. What I would do, I'm glad you remember that, but I purposed in my mind probably about 20 years ago because I came to the conclusion that Christian music ministry was more in the business, more in show business than it was in ministry, and I thought, well, what can I do to remind myself and my associates? So I committed to every meeting I would take, and it gets interesting on occasions, but that I would share a devotional. And my best story on that, I had the guy who put together for King Country's deal with Warner Brothers at the time, very strong attorney here in town, was attorney for Madonna, and quite brilliant at what he does. Faith perspective, not sure of. I sit down, I meet with him to thank him for putting the agreement together, and then at the end of it, I share this little devotion. And probably the toughest attorney in Nashville melts in front of me, and it was just, you and I have made a commitment to attempt to live for Jesus. I view myself as a flawed Jesus follower, and it's a beautiful, beautiful life. And my encouragement to anyone who's listening is to consider finding your own unique way, and you will have something in your life, either your testimony or a story, and every meeting you take, find a way, because a lot of here we are in the Bible Belt in Nashville. Probably you've got 2 million people here. There's probably 1 million go to church on Sunday. Yeah. Where else in the world does that happen? and I think we take the wonder of our faith perspective for granted. So my challenge is find a way, a little something, doesn't have to be big, that whoever you meet with, they know you've got a Jesus perspective. Yeah. And I think that'll end up being more valuable. And even the fact that you realize 2 years on that I have this commitment to share Jesus through, and it's someone else's words. And there's always be a Bible verse, someone else's words, but it allows for a great conversation. My neighbor here, and so I get together with him last year, and I like him, we get on well. His wife used to be Clint Eastwood's continuity director, so he came out of Memphis. So we get together for coffee, and at the end of it, I share a devotion with him, and then I think everything's okay. I run into him, maybe talking over the fence, a couple of weeks later. He says, "Smallbone, you jolly well tried to evangelize me," and I didn't realize at the time, but he was an atheist, and I said to him, "Hey, buddy, well, let's get together again. You tell me why you're an atheist, and I'll tell you why I'm a Jesus follower." We did that, and we're good. We're good friends
and
again.
You're still friends. But yet he knows you're at a place. Yet he can come and ask those questions.
Well, we see each other probably every 2 or 3 months. Every so often, there'll be a box. He's up the hill, probably a quarter of a mile up the hill, and there'll be a box down at his, and there'll be raining, and I'll take the box up to him. And it allows me just to say hello for 2 minutes.
Sometimes the simplest little acts that can be salt and light in people's.
And it goes back to that, that conference you went to, which was a mainstream conference, and it was saying they were telling
people to be unreasonable hospitality.
Non-Christians telling Christians be more relational. And I think the one thing that I'm aware of that I don't think we maximize is they can criticize, well, I don't believe in the Bible, or I've had bad experience with church, but they can't challenge our story, your story, my story. And that's, we've got to find ways of telling our story.
And doing it in love. I mean, they also can't challenge that when someone does something that doesn't make sense, that's counterintuitive. So I'm sure through the years of managing Rebecca and being with the boys for King Country, it's music industry. There's probably been times when you've been having to go, there's going to be ministry and then there's music industry, and ministry always wins out, but sometimes it's been maybe a tough decision? Or no?
I think it probably was in the early days when we were in Australia, but I was so challenged, inspired, loved. So I come to town, work for an artist. I came over here to work for him, and he let me go after 2 months. So we lived in poverty, and it was a church, People's Church, now Church of the City, that put food on the table, and it changed my perspective. So it moved me from lukewarm to passionate, and it was the perfect foundation for Rebecca's career, and then that the boys for King Country did their apprenticeship with Rebecca, and now I work with for King Country. So even talking yesterday, we were talking about doing a new movie deal, and we were talking about a bit of a miracle that had just happened with some major players committing to work together. And at one stage, someone said, "Well, that was lucky, wasn't it?" And it allowed me, as the older guy in the room, I'm generally the older guy in the room.
Thus the name Old Bloke.
Yeah. No, that was a God's economy moment. That was and we need to be, and one of the things that I love about Joel, talking about praying, like we had this very high level meeting, I think the day before yesterday, with a lot of the major power brokers in the film business, some who are competitive, and they're going to end up working together. And at the end of it, Joel wanted to pray. And I just, like, as my strong-willed middle son, he's probably my strongest son, for he to...
That's got to make you just proud as a father.
That was an emotional moment for me, because you know what it's like. You and I have been distracted. Our kids can get distracted, and in the hurry of it all, and he is my strongest son, for he to see value in thanking the Lord for allowing that meeting to happen, and then committing the future to Him. Talking about prayer, an interesting thing happened beginning of 2020. So when we first got married, Helen and I, we'd pray every night. I'd go to sleep. I was working mainstream. I was working for a mainstream record label at the time. It was pretty stressful. And so she got sick of that after a while. So we stopped doing it. We're still a praying family. We'd pray at meals and pray as a family, but we didn't have that discipline of praying together. She came to me at the beginning of 2020, just before COVID, and said, "David, let's start that process again." Yeah. And so last night she prayed. Tonight I'll pray, and we go through all our friends who are needing prayer. One of our friends, her numbers just went up with cancer. We heard about that yesterday, and we've been praying for her, for the last year or two, but we will pray more loudly. My best, this is a crazy one. So one of Luke's best friend's mother got a lung disease, and she was told by the doctors she was going to die in a year. And so Helen and I are praying for her every night. And you know what it's like? You're praying, but you don't expect it to get answered. Yeah. Blow me down about 6 months into our prayer time. She gets a lung transplant. I run into her down at the coffee shop 2 or 3 weeks ago. And she's 70, I think. And she's got at least another 10 years.
That's amazing.
And I think the lesson for Helen and I is, hey, never give up, even when it looks, even like in her case, it looks like it was terminal. Isn't that the craziest
That's amazing.
thing?
Well, it's an encouragement to just keep on praying. Even when it's darker and you don't think something can happen.
Absolutely.
Not to mention, for couples, for you and your marriage and how that has kept it strong through the years.
You know what I think happens is, since we've had that commitment, and that's going on 6 years now, if there's ever any tension, and we're on the same page on big stuff, but occasionally there's tension on the real little stuff. And sometimes little stuff can come big thing. But by praying at night, it dissipates and we start the next day afresh.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, another moment, I was hanging out at an event here in town, and you mentioned the book Rooting for Rivals. Was that you? I think it was.
I would have mentioned a book called Inside Out by Larry Crabb.
Okay.
Is that about marriage?
No. I'm talking about in the Christian world, how we can be competitive.
Oh, right.
And maybe it wasn't you, maybe someone else, but it was a luncheon with, and I know you were there, but it just struck me because in the quote Christian music industry, the competitiveness and there's a healthy, I want to be better at my craft and what I'm doing. But at what point are we, one, poverty mindset, not trusting God, that, hey, if this person has a number one song, I can't? Or why would we ever, as believers, not want another person who's doing music for Jesus to succeed? You know, and so
I think one of the things, the big change for me came after. So I lose everything on a big tour in Australia 36 years ago, and I go to the management and say, "Hey, can you help me? Because I'm going to lose the house." And they were unable to do that. So when I came to America, and Rebecca's career started, which started 32 years ago, we had a commitment that if anyone lost money, we would give them money back. And
and that's not normal, by the way.
yeah. And so but you know what's crazy about that? We did and you know the music world well, we did a headlining tour with the King Country the first year when Proof of Your Love came out. We did that year, that's 13 years ago, we did a headlining tour and it did pretty well all across the country. And part of it was all the promoters were prepared to work with us because in the Rebecca days, well, if they lost money, we'd give them money back. And we would still do the same. And so we ended up having millions and millions of dollars of goodwill. It doesn't answer your question, but I even think in business, we're competitive. You know, like, well, you've got a contract, you've got to give us the money. Where in God's economy, we're called to be our brother's keeper. And I think, you know, going back to, you know, the ideal behind that book, you know, show business is very selfish. But we as Christians want the best for each other. And it's like I'm more, you know, it's crazy. I look at myself now at 75, about to turn 76. I'm more passionate about the Jesus perspective than I ever have been. And you know, Helen does a Bible study with Father Mike, a Catholic guy who is just really, he's not overly Catholic. You know, like he pulls from a Catholic Bible, but he's very real. So she listens, and he does the Bible in a year. And she listens to him every day. I listen to him probably every second day. But you know, it's shocking to me at my vintage. I didn't always believe this. Probably took me half my life to get to this point. Biblical truth is just so practical. Like we follow his way. And you look at the way of the culture, which everyone thinks, oh, that's the way to go. The way of the culture is almost suicidal. The way of Jesus is life-giving. And even with Charlie Kirk, what do we remember about Charlie Kirk? He probably impacted the last election, maybe more than anybody we know. Loud about Jesus and loud about having lots of babies, even if you can't afford them. What? I don't even have pastors. Do you know a pastor who's saying, go out and have lots of babies? And for me, and probably having 7 kids, you know, a lot of people have 2, 3, or 4, and Ellen and I both came from 4, and we were only going to have 4. Interesting story on that. After 4, we thought, oh, well, that's the end. And I went to Helen and I said, hey, babe, can we consider have more? Because we were just following our family tradition. Because I said, when I would put Rebecca and my eldest boys to bed every night, I'd pray with them, sing with them, talk to them, and said, it's such good therapy for me. And can we continue? I want to continue it. And she said yes. And we had another 3. And so I'm an apologist for large families. We've had there's moments, you know, doing business, business with your family can get interesting. Hey, doing business, period, can get interesting. But with your family, sometimes. And I think, you know, like one of my mantras to the kids is, we're not looking for the business answer, we're looking for the Jesus answer. And you know what's crazy about the Jesus answer? The Jesus answer is the long-term artist development answer, because it's not immediate gratification. Because we're owned by the corporations, well, you've got to get profit for the next quarter. And that's, I don't think that's the right ideal. But okay, how do we serve him best we can?
I love the quote, Jesus was never in a hurry, he was always right on time. Right?
Wow, good one.
And that's so true. And
whose quote is that from?
I don't know, but it's the first thing I thought of when you were sharing that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, it's from the Salty Bloke.
Exactly.
You can claim that. You can claim that now.
I am now crowned Salty Bloke. So you, so you're in a new season of life where you're the mentor to people, and from the outside looking in, it seems like you've embraced. I mean, even as I'm driving over here to interview you, you're like, all right, we got to hang out. I'm going to keep you accountable, like,
yeah.
and like
Attempted humor.
Exactly. But I think, you've been in the music industry how many years now?
Started when I was 16, so come December, it will be 60 years. Yeah.
Wow. Well, just talk about the importance of being able to pour into other people's lives, because I see you doing that. And I hear stories of different people throughout town here who are like, I had coffee the other day with David and he encouraged me. And I love hearing those stories, and you probably don't get to hear them all, but like, I do know that you're pouring, it seems like you're being intentional.
Well, Matt, you're a relational guy. I love doing life with people, and I love learning. Like I just got together this past week. Mike Atkins, who manages Sandy Patty and managed Jackie Velasquez and lots of others, we're at Star Therapy because we're trying to, he's 72, I'm 75. We're trying to stay healthy. And he's a miracle guy because he got diagnosed with cancer 6 years ago, and they gave him too much to live, and he's still with us. And so I think, funny thing is, I think I'm a bit selfish, really, because I'm wanting to. I'm a self-taught guy, like I want to have dialogue with Muslims. I want to have dialogue with the Jewish. I've got a couple of Jewish physical therapists that I go to, and we have interesting dialogue, as you can probably imagine. And I'm saying, well, okay, you embrace the Old Testament, why not the New Testament? Now, both of them probably not practicing Jewish folks, but it allows us to have good dialogue. I think, the crazy thing, I married you'll probably make me cry, but I married a wonderful lady. We got together, we celebrated 50 years of marriage in April, and we got together, and over here at Southwall, my daughter-in-law arranged it, Mariah Smallbone, Joel's wife, and we get there, and I said to Helen, hey babe, the two best things in my life were meeting you 54 years ago. She was 16, I was 21. This can't go anywhere. I was a book executive with a book company in Australia. She was in school. And she was older than he is. I was younger. And then the other great thing was, come to town. It was she agreed we'd come to. She agreed to come to America for 2 years. 34 years later, we're still here, and that was us doing life together in poverty. Made our marriage stronger, and moved me from lukewarm to passionate. And so, going back to your question, I think I just love. It's almost like every relationship brings something different to the table. I was just texting Bill Scott this morning, who you referenced at that conference that you were at, that he was at, and they're going through interesting times, and they've just picked up an agreement. They've just done an agreement with Convoy of Hope.
Yeah.
And I wrote to him and I said, man, because I'm doing life with him, he tells me what's going on. So we get together probably every couple of months, and I think community is very important. Like I think accountability. I've probably got 5 or 6 guys that I do life. As you arrived here, I was talking to one of my accountability partners who's in the industry, and we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. And life for him is not easy at the moment. And so, we're able to, he helps me in some areas, I help him in other areas. And so I think I enjoy community. Sometimes my family says to me, Dad, you're so good with other people, you're not as good with us. And I think, okay, jolly well got up my game. But my wife came up with a really good idea, because we'd heard that a little bit. So probably since we moved here to the new house, we moved in here at the end of December, we now have a monthly family get-together. So all the family
Yeah.
And we've got 16 grandkids, another 2 coming. 6 of our 7 are married. And it's just, we're like, how do you be, when someone says something to you, well, it's a teaching moment, a learning moment.
Yeah.
And I think it was Helen's idea to start the monthly get together. But I think and we'll share a devotional at it. And then we've got an area out the front here, and she's bought lots of scooters and little cars.
Make it fun.
All the kids drive around, so pretty special.
Well, so we're both big fans of Christian music. It's impacted our lives. We've worked in it.
Yep.
I would love to hear from you. So Christian music, I believe, has an amazing ability to be salt and light in our culture. I mean, what inspired this channel was a book. Part of what inspired this channel was a book called Roaring Lambs by Bob Briner. Came out 25 years ago. And I was in college, and I was like, I want to work in an industry. I want to make excellent art, be a part of it, to impact our culture.
Yeah.
How can Christian music continue to not lose its salt and stay salty and keep on shining a light, as there's just, culturally things are changing. It's the mixing of commerce and faith, all
it's
that.
a hard one. Yeah.
Yeah. So what can be a word to people in the music industry to make sure that this industry, this Christian music that we love, continues to be salt and light and lift up Jesus?
I think I ended up moving out because I worked mainstream TV, mainstream radio, mainstream record label, and I realized it was just entertainment. And I left because I wanted to be involved in something that was purposeful. And so I would think one of the things that helps us with King Country on hard decisions is going back to our core principles. And our core principles are loving on the brokenhearted and sharing the most wonderful message known to man to as many people as possible. So every so often there'll be a relational issue or a business issue or a directional issue or a record label issue or something, or someone's not happy. And I think I would encourage people to make sure they have their core principles written out somewhere. So I'm an artist development guy to a fault. What we have with For King Country, we're not a worship band. Our songs are really parables. And some people come back to us and say, well, you don't talk enough about Jesus. And we say, well, we're called to make it go a bit differently. And it's interesting in our world, we're able to connect with the Christians and some non-Christians, and probably the majority of our audience. And I think finding, I know, accountability. Have somebody, maybe more than one person, doesn't need to be your pastor, but a good Christian friend that on the hard issues. The friend I was just talking to before you arrived, I've gone to him this past week, hey, give me perspective on this. And what happens in those situations, I think we're reminded of what our core responsibility is, and he might come back with an idea. It might not be the answer, but might lead to the answer. Yeah. And so I think I love it that you've been around us for a while now, and you've worked the commercial side. You've encouraged me because you're not jaded and cynical, and you haven't lost the plot. And even the title of, is it The Salty Christians?
The Salty Christians, yep.
Even that, that's what we're called to be. We're called to be salt and light, Yeah. And I think a lot of times we forget our core responsibility. But it's hey, there's nothing better. Like, here I am. Most people at my age are retired. Every so often I go to and say, hey, babe, the boys aren't listening to me. It's time for me to retire. No, you can't retire. But it's such a wonderful, beautiful, life-giving thing that you're allowed to do, I'm allowed to do. And I'm the most grateful 75-year-old you know. And if you know someone more grateful, introduce me to him and I'll up my game. Hey, you just made out that I'm competitive, Matt.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. Well, there's a good competitiveness. We need to be. Part of the theme of the Bob Reiner book, Roaring Lambs, was, hey, Christians, we got to do better art. We need to be
Yep.
better and excellence. I think excellence is key, whether you're doing Christian music, Christian films, or you're the plumber or a school teacher. No matter what you're doing, God loves when we do, when it's our sacrifice to Him and honor Him by doing excellent work.
I love that that's a theme of yours, because I think one of our themes is excellence in ministry.
Yeah.
And we want to, and I think sometimes because of budgets in Christian music world, we never reach our full potential. So we're continually asking our record label for big budgets, both recording, filming, marketing, and they don't say yes every time, but we keep on asking. And it is a very strong partnership. It's one of those things where 1 + 1, and Mike Kerr believes in our ministry, and we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, and with those bigger budgets, you guys are able to do bigger things, which then hopefully you're reaching more people outside of the church. You know, and that's the part of entertainment. I mean, even the film. I mean, was that weird to have a film made about you and your family? This kind of wrap it up here, but what was that like? I mean, it's got to be just a beautiful tribute to Helen and the journey and just your life, you know?
It was emotional for me because at the end of the day, Jolly Joel, Hollywood, good cop, bad cop. Okay, I have to be the bad cop. She's the good cop. So he plays me a little bit more aggressive than I am. But I went out the Christmas before it came out April last year. And that Christmas we did Christmas concerts all across the country. Joel and Luke would introduce it in the afternoon, the movie, for all the influencers from the local radio station. And then I'd be interviewed at the end. And I think every time I saw it, it'd make me cry. And I'm a piece of work, I'm reminded, you know what? I had one guy ask me one time, well, what's your takeaway? I was able to say honestly that God is good. And I remember in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we showed it in the afternoon, and we had a film guy there, and he was taking comments from all the influencers there, and I was walking from the theater back to the venue that we're doing that. And I said, hey, can I have a look at these? And he showed it to me. And then one guy wrote in and said, after seeing the movie, I'm going to go home and love my family better. When I saw that, I said, hey, even if the movie doesn't work, it's been worthwhile.
Yeah.
And so I think it's sobering. Luke had been talking about it came out of Luke talking about our story in the Compassion Spiel for about 10 years. And then during COVID, he went to a film company out of Hollywood and said, hey, this story really resonates, people. What about you doing the movie? And they said, yes, we would. After a couple of years, they pulled out, and then we ended up selling it on to Lionsgate. So it was quite a story. But I think doing as a family ministry with Rebecca, then with For King Country, it just seemed like it was part of the playing field. And I'm so glad that movie about my wonderful wife really resonated with a lot of people. I remember there's a girl who runs an adoption center in Ethiopia. She's flying back on Emirates, which is a Muslim airline. Blow me down. What movie do they show? Unsung Hero.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, and you almost think, you look at the Muslim religion, there's some there's some disciplines there that support their religion, not necessarily supportive of our faith perspective. And here we are, a ministry movie is on a Muslim airline.
Going to places that you couldn't go otherwise.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just another example being salt and light, taking lightness to people. And so
I want to thank you for being a good and faithful servant.
Thank you.
Even you reaching out after all these years, and we live, the world we inhabit is fast and furious. And I think I need to come and interview you one time and just say, okay, how have you stayed strong mixing business and ministry, because it's a hard one.
Totally.
How do you pay the bills and remain ministry focused? But maybe get one of your radio friends to do it. But it would be good for you to go deep and just say, because not everyone survives. So there's casualties along the road.
No, it's true, and I mean, it's an honor to be able to still be doing Christian media, doing media and storytelling, stuff that I love, but with that purpose.
Oh yeah.
And so, well, one last final question, because this is Salty Christian.
No more, because you said the last. You said the last one was the last one. Accountability when you don't want accountability.
This will be the bonus. This is the extra. People have to subscribe to get this. So because it's Salty Christian, I love hearing stories or testimonies of a time when you've been available to be salt and light. And so if there's one that comes to mind, or advice to people watching on how they could be salt and light.
I just had a guy this week who is in the business and separated at the moment. And we got together, and not sure how helpful I was, but we had a nice time, actually, at the coffee shop you were just at. He bought us coffee, by the way, everybody, but my beloved and myself. I think it's being available, and we just happened to run into each other a week ago, walking around West Haven, and then we got together after that, and I think it's being available, and I suppose even us getting together today, I don't think it's a coincidence. And I'm thinking, is there anything overly dramatic? In my world, it's almost like what happened when we first came to America. We saw a miracle every week. And food turning up on the doorstep. A lot of the business people are going to identify with this one. And so it doesn't answer your question fully, but in God's economy it does. So going to sign a record deal with Word for Rebecca 33 years ago. And the day we were to sign it was going to be Bob Carlisle, Rebecca, and a worship artist. The day we were to sign it, they pull out. And they were supposed to give us an advance of $10,000. And that's the moment in the movie we couldn't get out of bed. And a guy from People's Church at the time, comes to us and said, Smallbone, I want to give you the $10,000. And I'm a pretty broken dude, the sky is falling, all that. And, suddenly our moment of hope had gone away. And he comes and says, I want to give you the 10K. And it reminds me, I can't make anything work. I can't make this record deal with Word work, whatever. And so I think about it, and I go back to him and I say, hey, buddy, I want to give you something back. And I said, well, will you take back half of Rebecca's publishing? She didn't have a publishing deal at the moment, at that time. He said, I don't want to, but you're asking me to. He will. He then went on to be a missionary in Ukraine, and over the next 10 years, that made him about $300,000. And I just think in God's economy, there was no contract. We didn't have a contract on the 10,000 or anything like that. But we just, I remember when we signed our record deal, and I was telling Eddie DeGamo, okay, Eddie, half of the publishing has to go over to this guy. Whoa, well, he didn't like that too much.
That's not normal in the music industry.
But that's one of my, we've been allowed to live in God's economy. And I think the second half of my life, I've attempted to put Jesus first. I think the first half of my business life, I was in show business, even though I was involved in Christian music. But I think that was I wonder whether we went through all that junk we went through to help me grow up. Because I need to be moved on from my lukewarmness. And I'm so And even the fact that, you're wanting to interview me today, in your salty Christian podcast, I love it. I think that's what we're called to do. And I think sometimes, because we're in the Bible Belt, we're a bit mellow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've got to get louder, because this little town is impacting the world through music. And the great thing about Christian music, it bypasses the head, goes straight to the heart. And, pretty powerful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me on your back porch. Everything that you said, I think, is going to inspire people, because I don't want people just to watch this and go, oh, cool story. The goal of this YouTube channel is everyone who watches it to feel spurred on to go be salt and light. Imagine a world if every Christian is just doing being available, like you said, being willing to be interrupted and to be salt and light, to just share your faith wherever God's got you. So.
Yeah. Well, congrats on getting stronger on the journey, Matt.
Yeah.
You've encouraged me today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.